Welcome everyone. My name is Meek, and I'm going to be your caster for today for an incredible match we have at the regular group stages of the 2025 TNT Championship. In yellow, we have ARILOU, and in red, we have NIGHTSLAYER. Now for those of you who aren't familiar, ARILOU was our 2020 Premier Division Championship winner and our 2022 Premier Division Championship winner. NIGHTSLAYER, fearsome in his own right, been around the community since early 2021, and here to put up a good show. Now, this is quite a spicy matchup we have, considering that it's a bit of the idol versus the idolized. NIGHTSLAYER, big fan of ARILOU's playing style, which, if nothing else, can be described as consistent and unforgiving. The man always has about 2 tier 1, 3 tier 3, and 1 tier 3 tier 2 and then 1 tier 1 for a comp that usually allows him to navigate any different stage of the game, punish any extra greed by his opponent, but overall optimally grow to a greedy eco and a really hard late game stage. Now, I imagine we're going to see some pretty similar decks out of these two, considering that NIGHTSLAYER kind of likes to build his style off of ARILOU. So, interesting to see if he's going to be able to take down a progenitor of his style. And fun fact, ARILOU has a theme song written by none other than NIGHTSLAYER. So, have a quick little montage for us, a little bit of highlights, and NIGHTSLAYER's music. Enjoy.
Mike's not getting a whole lot done, but here comes a big fight. And the Cam Falcon is pushing it back for now. These chameleons on the front are pretty sufficiently poisoned, but this is such an important engagement. Here we go. The wolf might go down immediately.
Wolf might go down. There goes the wolf.
And does ARILOU have enough? It looks like he does.
I think he does. He does. Is the fox going to survive? The 5 health.
The fox will survive.
Focusing down the mill.
It's not going to matter.
It's not. Yeah, I don't know. This might just be too much. Squirrels at the end here. Oh, those cams are just going to roll through, take out that last pig.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is it. ARILOU, with those 2 cams left over, is our 2022 Season 1 champion. I can be done about that. Fleur really wanted to kill that extra wolf, but it is going to get away. And NIGHTSLAYER is going to get down into the soft underbelly of Fleur's base. Fleur deciding if he wants to try to base race or if he wants to try to go home and defend. Gonna come defend. Let's see if he can make it in time. All these mice trying to find their way up. We're gonna try to come in again, but really needs to not. The problem is target firing squirrels with falcons. Like, you're wasting so much DPS. It's like, let me get on the ladder. Oh no, NIGHTSLAYER! Alright, this is getting to be oof. Alright.
Without further ado, let's get into the match. Now, I do not know what to expect, but this is going to be a best of 3. And if I had to guess, I would have guessed that the tier 3 would have been used, would have been wolf. Totally would have guessed that. But no, yeah. Funny enough, this deck out of ARILOU, squirrels, mole, falcon, skunk, cam, and wolf, is a deck that he used all the way back in 2021. So, interesting to see if it'll still be viable in the current meta. I suspect it definitely will be. Now, taking a look at the opposing deck, nearly identical, except the only difference is instead of moles, he's taken in lizards. Now, how can this be significant? Well, squirrel mole as a synergy does really well at being meaty, going for very good time attacks, because moles come out faster than anything, because as soon as the warren builds, a single mole will pop, which means you're able to put it down and go for time pushes where you have a little bit more army than your opponent if both of you had roughly equivocal army at what preceding the fight. Lizards, on the other hand, able to traverse distance much quicker and also much better at dealing with skunk gas, because you're able to micro your units at 2 different angles, and usually the skunk gas will only be able to target the squirrels, whereas the lizards go to town on skunks. So interesting to see if that'll play a role in this match. But both players going to an easy 8 farm into a early tier 2. I say early, but it's really not punishable. And ARILOU opting for Skunks. NIGHTSLAYER, who jokingly calling himself I knew, but it's NIGHTSLAYER, opting for Cam. Now in the current meta, Squirrel Skunk does a lot better against Squirrel Cam. So interesting to see if that'll play a factor. Now for anyone kind of a beginner, and pro tip here from ARILOU, when he was scouting, he actually brought his units out with him, even though he didn't know if there was necessarily anything over here. But there's always a chance that your opponent is doing something suspect, and you might be able to catch him off guard, snipe a pig, or sniper warren, or delay an expansion. And so this is kind of a good optimal way to make use of your units. ARILOU going in some cams. Conservative from both players. No expansions quite yet, though I think we're going to see one shortly. And yep, ARILOU at the 2-minute 40-minute mark, bringing it in. If we take a look at their visibility in the Fog of War, NIGHTSLAYER has not only scouted this, but I believe he's going for a cheeky, perhaps Cam shenanigans. Now, if a farm were to be built right here, it could have been easily sniped, but ARILOU, ever the pro, making sure to start off his farms at the safest location made available for his mill. Now, this will be interesting. One way that you can suspect that Cam's are nearby is if you see a player rally when they don't have any units nearby. It usually indicates a Cam. Now, it looks like, oh, ARILOU, it seemed like he was just going in for an engage and just happily happened to run into the cams. Unfortunate for NIGHTSLAYER, and now he's kind of caught out, though this is a really good engage for NIGHTSLAYER, totally making up. Down goes the cams, down goes the skunks. ARILOU's gonna have to retreat, and NIGHTSLAYER has completely made up ground from the cam that he lost earlier. Now all that was thanks to the way that this engage took place. ARILOU kind of got stuck in this low ground here, and NIGHTSLAYER was able to wrap around his units in a concave formation, allowing for more of them to get their DPS down, because when units are kind of stuck in the back of a clumpy engage, they're not actually in range to use their DPS, and it's a waste of space. Also, if a unit can't find any tiles, that'll also hurt it in the long run, because it's busy moving, looking for a tower to stand instead of being able to distribute DPS. Now, even though NIGHTSLAYER, if we take a look at the graphs here, had a little bit of a better engage, that will be kind of undermined by the fact that ARILOU is a little bit quicker on the eco. Notice he has four farms to NIGHTSLAYER's 3. Now he's getting 2 up, but as it currently stands, ARILOU has a little bit more. Now going for this well-timed engage, his units are at its max, though he is floating a lot of food. And this is what ARILOU likes to do. He likes to really waste no much time and go for quick little scouting pressures, scouting engages. If he notices anything's amok, he's going to go for an engage. And one thing NIGHTSLAYER has to be careful is not to take this engage in this chokehold, because the skunk gas is going to be able to get on both the lizards and the squirrels. Falcons come in, but oh, it looks like they're getting cut out. One falcon goes down. This could be really bad. Oh my goodness, NIGHTSLAYER's lizards have absolutely nowhere to go. Oh, a brutal engagement for NIGHTSLAYER. Only one falcon left, and even that one had to get slowed down. This mill is not going to hold. This could be a decisive push for ARILOU. Skunk's sitting pretty on nearly full health. NIGHTSLAYER's units getting gunned down the second they come out of the warren. Not even given a chance. And this is kind of the unforgiving style of ARILOU, just leaving you no space to do anything inaccurately. And that's going to be game 1. Yeah, so if you take a look, their army value is actually fairly equivalent. And eco, even NIGHTSLAYER had a little bit more before going into the engage. It really just came down to the fact that NIGHTSLAYER's, one, he got his falcons caught out, but two, he took the engage in a convex formation instead of concave. If he had maybe tried to move and wrap around his units like he did in the first engagement, where he fared a little bit better, he might have been able to have a little bit better result, but after he lost like that, just no way to come back. Alright, so ARILOU. First blood. Let's see if NIGHTSLAYER can turn it around in game 2. Alright. Looks like both players opted to stick with their old decks. And as is their style, these players are fairly consistent. NIGHTSLAYER with a little bit more tendency to diversify his unit portfolio. But in this circumstance, it looks like he's going to say, hey, ARILOU, I know that you're pretty good with this deck. You might have only played it for like 4 years or so, but I'm going to beat you with it. And you know what? You got to respect it. Now, what can we immediately take away from the map? One of the things that makes TNT so diverse is that no map is ever going to be the same. And in this one, I'm actually going to say I like it for NIGHTSLAYER, and here's why. There's no clear way for you to just march across the map and go for an early engage. No, you're going to have to go and flank from one way or the other. Now, either way you go, you're going to have to go through some water, which is going to slow you down your troops even more. Which really just means that, in all likelihood, these two players are going to get an eco up a lot more before their engagements actually take place. And if NIGHTSLAYER uses his lizards accordingly, he'll be able to cover a lot more ground. Now, I kind of missed what happened here, but NIGHTSLAYER went for an 8-farm expansion opener without putting any down tier 1 warrants. Now, this is punishable by putting a more warrant down because it'll pop and kill the mill before any other units can get down. So, a little bit of a optimal play from ARILOU, though revealing his cards that he does have moles again. Not sure we were ever in doubt, but now we know. NIGHTSLAYER this time, interesting. He's gonna go for the squirrel skunk, and ARILOU's gonna go for the cam squirrel. Roles are reversed, only this time, sneaky, ARILOU's gonna try to go and snipe this mill, and NIGHTSLAYER is not home. If this cam manages to take down this mill, this could also be a crippling advantage for ARILOU already. The whole game could be decided here, folks. Oh, just barely for NIGHTSLAYER. This is great news for him. Exactly what he needed to breathe life back into this matchup. But, once again, ARILOU just a little greedier on the eco, and it's not punishable. Like, by the time that NIGHTSLAYER, who, while admittedly has a slightly greater arm value, you can see, by the time he would have been able to walk over there, it would have been matched. Which means this ecoing a little bit harder is kind of the optimal play right now. That or going for a tier 3. Neither of which either player seems eager to get into. But NIGHTSLAYER needs to be careful not to, first of all, not to fall prey to some more cams. And these are the small wins that ARILOU takes, man, that really just widen the gap between these two players. However, NIGHTSLAYER going in for a really well-timed engage while the cams aren't home, sniping down 2 foxes without even losing that much. And I gotta tell you, every time you lose a pig, that's no small feat. Every minute you don't have a pig is 60 food out of your pocket, and with the 4 farms he just lost, that's 60, 80, 120, sorry, 60, 120, 180 food in 1 minute. Ooh. I would have liked to see NIGHTSLAYER give up on that warren. You could tell he really wanted to take it out because it was so on low health, but he really lost too much sticking around for it. Not worth it in the end. Though, eco-wise, NIGHTSLAYER did do some damage, but look, ARILOU right on top of it again. And this is the kind of aggression that NIGHTSLAYER needs to be taking with his economy. He's just not. Now, granted, his army is equivalent. It's not better than oh dear. It's not better than ARILOU in this moment. Though he's gonna go for an engage with equivalent army. This is gonna be pretty difficult. Skunk gas doing numbers on the squirrels. Just difficult to engage in this kind of structure. There's not too many weaknesses in terms of the mills. Like, well defended, good coverage. NIGHTSLAYER has better coverage, but the problem is he behind Nico. ARILOU's in no rush to go for an attack, and in fact starting to float some heavy food. We could be seeing a tier 3 drop momentarily. Curious. Anytime someone floats 250 food, you know something big's going down, and yep. Tier 3 on the way now. The clock is ticking for NIGHTSLAYER. NIGHTSLAYER needs to scout this immediately so that he can react accordingly. Some options left to him is he can go greedy, maybe try to expand here. If you, fun fact, putting all 8 farms on a mill only takes 90 seconds to pay for itself. So if he can do it quickly, that's one option. It looks like he's going for some skirmishes, but ARILOU not at home. But oh, he predicted it, putting his cams in just the right place to deny any kind of poke pressure. And NIGHTSLAYER, the one thing not on his side right now is time. And going for these little poke skirmishes could be good if there wasn't a wolf on the way. Just went ahead and scouted, so he knows that he's on the clock. And NIGHTSLAYER, he senses the danger. He might have to go for an all-in engage right now, because sitting back isn't going to do him any favors. Clock is ticking. This could be the most pivotal engage of this match. Now, if NIGHTSLAYER could by some miracle take out this wolf, then we're back in action. But looks like he's prioritizing the mill. Not what I would have done, but regardless, it's incredibly difficult to get to that war, and it might not have been an attainable goal. But here goes the big engage. Wolf isn't quite out yet. There's still time. Oh, but ARILOU has just a little bit too much health for these falcons to tank through, and the wolf is out. And with these wolf plus falcons, they're probably going to catch up to the rest of NIGHTSLAYER's army. Oh, there's just not much left for him. NIGHTSLAYER, frantic. Maybe if he were to sell everything into some lizards, he could at least attempt a base race, but it looks like he's going to try to build up to his army. It's just not a recipe for success right now because ARILOU has more. And, oh my goodness, the speed on some of these wolf buffed units, and how many are buffed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's more than I remember, but regardless, NIGHTSLAYER giving it his best, but ARILOU just too much to handle this time around. And that's the match. Now, NIGHTSLAYER may have lost the battle, but he hasn't lost the war. He is the second most experienced player in his B group division, so there's still very much a chance that he can end up in the top 2 and may pass the group stage. So, best of luck to NIGHTSLAYER, and best of luck to everyone else that has to play ARILOU. It's been a pleasure casting for you guys, folks, and hopefully we'll see you back soon. Catch up.